Do you want to know where your favorite Power Ranger season ranks on my tier list? Then make sure you watch until the end of this video to see where I rank each season from Power Rangers Mighty Morphin all the way to Power Rangers Ninja Steel. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. I have returned from the necessary evil that is college. Just kidding, I commute. But anyways, the semester is over with, and I would like to say hello, Internet. It's AndrewMycol. I missed you guys while I was gone for about a week and a half. I have been dealing with school, trying to make as much time as I could so that way I can make the best grades I possibly can for this semester. And as you guys found out on Twitter, which if you're not following me on Twitter, make sure you check out my username down in the description down below. The semester has wrapped up for me, and I saw there was a trend going around while I was gone. Now, if you don't know who iDubbbz is, iDubbbz did indeed start this little tier list trend, where he did a fast food tier list trend, and then he also did a US President's tier list, and so everyone was catching on, and then I thought to myself, I wonder if I could do a Power Ranger tier list with all the seasons and do a video about that. I was going to be the first one to do that until a YouTuber named Este, which if you have not checked out Este, he is a fantastic Power Ranger YouTuber, and he was the first one to do a Power Ranger tier list. He has a tier list, so if you want to go check out his tier list, then make sure you go check out Este. I will put his link in the description down below. And with that being said, I'm going to put timestamps to each season, so that way if you want to see where each season ranks on this tier list, then make sure you check out that in the description down below. With that being said, let's get into today's video. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go through each season, starting from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We're going to work our way up all the way to Power Rangers Ninja Steel. Now, I would include Power Rangers Beast Morphers, but the problem with that is the season's not over yet. I mean, we haven't had the whole series for Power Rangers Beast Morphers. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with Power Rangers Mighty Morphin, and we're going to go from that all the way to there. Now, for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, since this tier list only does it in terms of the actual season, it doesn't do like season 1 of Mighty Morphin all the way to season 3, I believe. Season 1 for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the very first Power Rangers season, was fantastic. Like, I believe Power Rangers, the very first season, did exactly what it needed to do in terms of a Power Rangers season. It was a good pilot season. I only started watching since Power Rangers Ninja Storm because I'm only 20 years old, and I really didn't get, I wasn't even old enough to even get a chance to watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers when it came out. But I have seen some episodes of it, and I will say it was fantastic. Now, Power Rangers Season 2, I believe, was not as great as the first season, but with the introduction of the White Ranger, I do think that was pretty cool. But the third season was the Alien Rangers, and really that's a season that not many people remember. With the 3 seasons put together, I think because of the fact that if it were just the first season, it would be an A, but the last 2 seasons were alright, so I think I'm going to make it a C. And so now we move on to Power Rangers Zeo. Now, Power Rangers Zeo was pretty fantastic. I mean, it was the first actual season after the Mighty Morphin thing started. And even Saban, they thought that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was going to be the last season because they thought, well, maybe, you know, they could stop it and maybe, you know, we won't have to do this anymore. But no, that didn't happen. They wanted more Power Rangers, so they got Zeo. Overall, I thought it was a fantastic season. So I'm going to give Zeo an A. We're moving on to Turbo. I personally only watched the Turbo movie, and that movie was somewhat decent at best. But the actual show from the... I just didn't like it. I mean, I saw it, and I could see why people don't really like Turbo. I mean, there were some cool moments here and there, but honestly, as a whole, Power Rangers Turbo, to me, was just not that good. I would probably give it an E rank. Now, what Este did is he gave Mighty Morphin Power Rangers a D, and he gave Turbo a D as well. Now we move on to In Space, the other last season for Power Rangers. And In Space was basically kept majority of the characters from Turbo and put them in Space, except for, obviously, the Red Ranger. The whole season as a whole was pretty freaking cool, man. Like, I saw parts of In Space. Heck, I didn't even know In Space existed until Super Mega Force came along, and I was like, what is this season? And so I saw it, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. So, what I'm thinking about doing is, look, say what you want about In Space, but it is a fantastic season. Like, altogether, it was a pretty solid season for me. For just the bits of seasons that I've seen about it. And I think it is such a good season, it is moving to an S rank. For Lost Galaxy, and I think Lost Galaxy, I think it wasn't great as In Space, but it was still pretty fantastically done. Like Leo and the original Pink Ranger, her dying was such an impactful moment because it was like, wow, this is so dark in a way. And then we had Mike, and we had the Magna Defender spirit switching thing, and it was kind of dark in a way, but at the same time, it was like, this is somewhat pretty cool. Like, this is where Este put it at a B. I think I'm gonna go with A. Next, we have Lightspeed Rescue. Now, the bits and pieces I saw from Lightspeed Rescue are pretty alright. And so I'm not gonna give it a D rank just like Este did. I think I'm gonna go with a C rank on this one. I thought it was pretty good. Now we have Power Rangers Time Force. Now Time Force, and my goodness, the bits and pieces that I saw were so fantastic. Some flashbacks of Time Force with Power Rangers Beast Morphers, especially with Devin and his dad. I think Time Force was so great. But not an S rank for me. I think it was a rank. Now we get on to the last original Saban season with Wild Force. The bits and pieces I saw from Wild Force, it was pretty cool. I mean, to me, it felt like it was a season that needed to be done. And even the Saban era was like, okay, we're burnt out on we're burnt out of Power Rangers. We don't want to do this anymore. We'll just make this the last season, the last hoorah for Power Rangers, and we'll just go from there. But what ended up happening was Wild Force just turned up the heat to the point where I'm going to agree with Este, and I'm going to give it a B rank. With Forever Red and the last episode of Wild Force did good enough to go from a C rank to a B rank, and that's where I'm going to put it. Now we get to the seasons that I actually watched, from Ninja Storm on to Ninja Steel. I didn't watch Overdrive or Jungle Fury because, thank you Xfinity for getting rid of Toon Disney, and so I couldn't watch anything until RPM when it was on the ABC channel. So we move on to the first season I actually watched when I was a kid, and that's Ninja Storm. Now, Ninja Storm for me was pretty alright. Alright, it was nothing too spectacular for me. It was a season that felt really cool, and it was the first season that Disney owned Power Rangers, so when Saban was like, okay, we're going to get rid of this season, Disney was the one to actually acquire Power Rangers, and they just made it go on. And Ninja Storm was such a cool season. I mean, it wasn't a very spectacular season for me, but I felt like it was just a really cool thing to see. And I think for me, I am going to give it a B rank. Now we got Power Rangers Dino Thunder. It was the second season I watched. And let me tell you, Dino Thunder was so cool. And having Tommy Oliver as the black Dino Thunder Ranger was pretty cool to see. And because of that, I am going to agree with Este on this. I'm going to give it an A rank. Now we're going on to SPD. Was so cool. Like, SPD really felt like one of those seasons where I felt like I wanted to become a Power Ranger myself. And because of that, and because what it's done for me as a Power Ranger fan, I am giving it an S rank. Now we move on to Mystic Force. Now, I don't know why, but I really have a thing for Mystic Force. Like, as a season, it wasn't all that spectacular, but I feel like it did good enough to save it from being a bad season. But I think it did enough to save it from being a D rank, so I'm going to give it a C rank. It was pretty average. Now we get on to a bad season. Operation Overdrive. Operation Overdrive was just a season nobody cared about. It was just a season where I don't even know what the heck they were doing with Operation Overdrive. It was just a season, but the characters just didn't match at all, and it was just so awful. And so I think it's going to go down as one of the bad seasons. But Este put it at a... Este did put this at a E rank. To me, I feel like other than that Once a Ranger episode, I think it did enough to save it as... Well, okay, yeah, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to agree with Este. I'm going to put it at an E rank. Because I feel like that Once a Ranger episode, still I feel like the show Operation Overdrive was just so mediocre. Then we get on to Jungle Fury. Now, Jungle Fury I heard a lot about. I heard Jungle Fury was so cool. It was so unique and so interesting to see it. And I think Jungle Fury was one of those episodes that not many people talk about it, honestly. Like, not a lot of people talk about Jungle Fury. And I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't a spectacular season. Okay, well, other than the Spirit Rangers, I think Jungle Fury was just so cool for me. And just seeing, like, some of the other clips from what I've seen about it. And with that, I think I'm going to give it a B rank. Now, Estee gave it a C rank. Did he? Yeah, he gave it a C rank. And I think I'm going to give it a B rank. Like, I think it was better than average. I think they had a lot of cool elements to it. And with the Wolf Ranger and the Rhino Ranger, like, it was just a cool thing we haven't seen before. And it made it go from average to above average. So I like that about that. Now we move on to the other Power Rangers season that could have been the last season for Power Rangers, because Disney was like, nope, not doing this. No one's interested. We're just going to make Power Rangers RPM the last season. And boy, did it feel like it could have been a last season, but it was so fantastic. Like, I saw it on the ABC channel when it came out. Let me tell you something. RPM was just so freaking fantastic. Like, every time I turned on the ABC channel before Nickelodeon bought Power Rangers, it was one of those things that made me want to get up and watch TV whenever I was a little kid. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, where has this been? And I remember it was back from when I was watching Mystic Force. And RPM was just a really cool season. And I feel like we're getting a vibe of that as well in Beast Morphers as well. And I think without a shadow of a doubt, it was a cool season. And I am going to agree with Estelle on this. I'm giving it a S rank. So now we are in the Neo-Saban era. Now, hands down, I will say it. I think everyone can agree with me. The Neo-Saban era was the worst era for Power Rangers. I mean, the writing was awful. The cast was just not with it. And it just felt like the show turned more into a kid-friendly, advertiser-friendly show than what it was. And that's saying something. Starting off with Samurai, I think Samurai was the best out of the Neo-Saban era. The first Samurai season, I used to beg my mom, please let me stay home so I can watch Samurai. And it was a pretty alright season, and I would give it a C rank for that. Now, the problem with it was the Super Samurai season obviously introduced the Black Box and the Gold Ranger. Well, the Gold Ranger came in the first season. The first season was alright, I will say that. The Super Samurai season had a lot of stuff going with it. And I think I wouldn't give it an E rank, but I am going to give it a D rank. They could have done better with what they had, but overall, I just thought maybe it was alright, but not like an average show. It was a little bit less than average, I'll give it that. Now we get to, hands down, the worst Power Ranger season. Everyone agrees, Megaforce just flat out sucked. Alright, and then no question goes in the F rank. Megaforce, oh my god, it had so much wrong with it. And Super Megaforce, if you got rid of Legendary Keys, it was still Megaforce, alright? It was just awful. That's all I'm saying about it. Now we get on to Power Rangers Dino Charge. Now, Power Rangers Dino Charge was like Samurai. It was a pretty good season of Dino Charge. I know a lot of people are like, why do you like Dino Charge so much? It was because it was a pretty cool season. I mean, we had a lot of Rangers to be in that season. And not including Dino Supercharge, I think Dino Charge was a really alright season. I mean, there could have been a lot of things done to it, but I think Dino Charge was good until we get to Dino Supercharge. And Dino Supercharge just went straight down there. And I am going to agree with Estee on this. I'm going to give it E. It could have been a D. It's going to be an E. Then we get on to the last season that's in this tier list, and that's Ninja Steel. Ninja Steel was so bad. The writing was just so awful. None of the plots went anywhere. However, the 25th anniversary episode, no, 23, yeah, the 25th anniversary of Power Rangers, the actual episode, So much better than the Legendary War. I mean, excuse me. Not including the Legendary episode in Ninja Steel, I think it was just, it could have been so much better, but it wasn't. And I would say this is better than Megaforce, but there was just so much wrong with it, and I'm going to give it an F rank. And so there you have it, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed today's Power Ranger video. And also, don't forget to leave a like if you like this video. Subscribe if you're new. And if you like this, make sure you leave a comment down below and tell me what you want to see next time. And until next time, I'm AndrewMycol, and I'll see you guys next time. Go, go, Power Rangers.